Hello and welcome to the news at 7, where we get to the heart of the day's stories and communities across Scotland. Tonight, a paramedic has been jailed for 10 years after he secretly injected his pregnant lover with abortion drugs, causing her to miscarry. The man had featured in the BBC's Paramedics on Scene. We will have the full story also tonight. A man has been charged with murder following the death of a scientist in a Dundee street attack yesterday. The woman's family say they are in shock. We will, of course, have all the sport with Lewis. What have you got for us tonight?
Well, Amy, we'll discuss Cameron Norrie's chances against defending champion Carlos Alcaraz in the Wimbledon quarter-finals tomorrow, and hear from a Scottish superbike riding sensation.
Thanks, Lewis. And we will hear from the fans queuing up for the Billie Eilish show at the Hydro tonight. Hello, I'm Amy Irons and welcome to the news at 7. Now, this is Stephen Doohan. He was a clinical team leader with the Scottish Ambulance Service, a position of trust. Today, though, he begins a 10-and-a-half-year prison sentence after he secretly gave a pregnant woman an abortion drug, killing their unborn baby. Last May, he pleaded guilty to assault, sexual assault and causing the woman to have an abortion. The judge said the offences were almost as serious as any the court had seen. Katrina Renton has the story for us.
Stephen Doohan was a clinical team leader with the Scottish Ambulance Service. He had been one of the faces of this documentary series, a trusted role. But in May this year, the 33-year-old pleaded guilty to secretly giving an abortion drug to a woman he was in a relationship with, causing her to lose their baby. Today, he was sentenced.
The effects of what you did to her are eloquently set out in the victim's statement provided to the court. Anyone reading that statement would be moved by its terms and by the raw pain that radiates from it. In addition to the physical pain you caused, your actions have caused clearly significant and long-term psychological injury. Taken together, the offences committed by you are frankly almost as serious as any this court is ever asked to sentence.
Doohan met the woman in Spain while on holiday in 2021. He did not tell her he was married and they remained in contact. She found out she was pregnant with his child in March 2023. By this time, he had temporarily separated from his wife. And he and the woman had agreed they wanted to keep the child. The court heard a couple of days after Doohan learned the news, the woman was at his rented Edinburgh home. She was in bed when he did something she could not see. The next day, the woman began to suffer stomach cramps. The court heard that, now suspicious, the woman looked under the mattress. She found star-shaped tablets and a syringe with pills crushed inside. She searched online and found matching images for drugs that induce a termination. The woman was in pain and went to hospital. She later suffered a miscarriage. The court heard Doohan bought the woman gifts to keep her quiet, but ultimately she made a complaint to the Scottish Ambulance Service and the information was passed to the police. Today, the judge was told that despite what he's done, the woman forgives him. Now, this once trusted paramedic begins a lengthy jail sentence. He's also on the sex offenders register.
Well, Katrina is with us now. Katrina, how common is a crime like this?
Well, Amy, thankfully, this is an extraordinarily unusual case. I understand it's one of the only cases of its kind to have been prosecuted in Scotland. The content, of course, of what you heard in my report there is very upsetting. The judge, Lord Colbeck, said that the loss of the baby had left the victim facing a lifetime of pain and loss. Not only does Stephen Doohan face a lengthy jail sentence, as we heard there, but he's also on the sex offenders register and he's been given a non-harassment order where he's prohibited from approaching or contacting or trying to approach or contact her for an indeterminate period. Now, the Crown Office said this evening that while offences like this are thankfully rare, they hope this prosecution sends a clear message to all those who seek to inflict sexual harm towards women.
I think what will shock so many people, Katrina, is the fact that we're talking about a paramedic, somebody who's in a position of trust and is supposed to care for people.
Absolutely. I mean, as we've been saying, what more of a position of trust could you have really in the community than dealing with people who are at their most vulnerable when they need a paramedic? Now, the court heard that Doohan used resources that were available to him through his work to get research into what he did to the women. So he used a work login to get information about the drug, and he planned his actions. Now, he no longer works for the Scottish Ambulance Service. In a statement tonight, they said, as soon as we learned of these very serious allegations and charges, we immediately took action. We know nothing will change what has happened to the victim, and all we can hope is this sentence provides some comfort to them. A really, really shocking case, Amy.
It truly is. Katrina, thanks for bringing us up to date with all of that. Thank you. Now, a man has appeared in court charged with murder after the death of a woman who was found seriously injured in Dundee. Dr. Fortune Gomo was described as an exceptional scientist and had told her family she had everything she wanted in life. Our Scotland correspondent Ben Phillip reports.
A community gripped by shock and sadness. An ever-growing collection of flowers, each paying tribute to a life cut short. Dr. Fortune Gomo was 39 years old. Originally from Zimbabwe, she lived in Dundee. Police said she was found seriously injured on South Street on Saturday afternoon. She was treated by paramedics but was pronounced dead at the scene. Police are treating her death as murder.
When you hear that something bad like this has happened to someone, you just want to, share your own condolence as well. I've not been able to sleep very well since Saturday when I heard about it. So we're all shocked.
Everybody's devastated by this. It's disgusting, atrocious. It shouldn't happen. So I felt the need with my wife there to come down and to show my sympathies and my condolences to the whole family, the whole community, everybody.
The BBC has spoken to Fortune's brother in Zimbabwe. He said his sister's death comes just weeks shy of her 40th birthday. He said they had recently discussed organising a party, but she said she had everything she wanted and was going to have a quiet celebration instead.
Dr. Gomo was the eldest of 4 siblings and described as the deputy parent of her family. She recently graduated with a PhD from the University of Dundee and had started a job with Scottish Water. In a statement, the company described her as an exceptional scientist and highly valued and respected colleague. The local pub has organised a fundraising event to raise money for Fortune's family.
So we've decided to do this as she is a part of our community. Obviously, she's from this end of the woods. We've pulled together. We want to help the family out as much as we can.
20-year-old Kyler Rattray appeared in private at Dundee Sheriff Court earlier, charged with murder. He made no plea and was remanded in custody. A childhood friend described Fortune Gomo as the kind of person you'd go to when you needed clarity, not just of mind, but of heart, as the community where she lived and built her life struggles to come to terms with what happened here. Ben Phillip, reporting Scotland, Dundee.
Thank you for joining us on tonight's News at 7. We have more to come for you in the programme, including good news for holidaymakers as Edinburgh Airport relaxes its rules around liquids on board planes.
Well, new week, new weather and heat is certainly going to build with high pressure moving in. Find out more at the end of the programme.
Ferry operator CalMac is trying to recover millions of pounds of repair costs for a ship that's been out of action for 18 months and is still not fixed. The repair bill for the Caledonian Isles, which has been removed from the Arran route since January last year, has already risen to nearly £11 million. CalMac is now seeking compensation from the contractor Camel Laird over problems discovered when the ship returned after the first phase of work. In recent months, all crossings to Arran from the mainland have been based out of Troon. That's because Ardrossan Harbour can't accommodate the new CalMac vessel, the Glen Sannox. Today, for the first time since January, the quicker Ardrossan route did reopen using an older ferry, the aptly named Isle of Arran. But a harbour upgrade is the key priority of many, including Wiley Hume, the chairman of Arran for Ardrossan Harbour, who spoke to me earlier.
It's good to see a ferry coming out of Ardrossan. I mean, that hasn't happened for a while, but we're hoping for much more than that. We had hoped, of course, that the Caledonian Isles would be active all over the rest of the summer, but unfortunately, as you know, it's tied up awaiting major repairs. And of course, in the long term, what we really want is to see the Glen Sannox and the Glen Rosa coming out of Ardrossan heading for Arn.
For those, Wiley, who are maybe unfamiliar just with the geography of the area, can you give us a sense as to why Ardrossan is a better port to serve that Arran crossing than Troon?
Well, that's easy for me to do because, I mean, today the Isle of Arn, which came over from Ardrossan today, it did 5 sailings in total, whereas the Glen Sannox, which came out of Troon today, it only did 3. So, you know, there you have it. You can see why the businesses are all for Ardrossan, because it's more sailings, more visitors. It's as simple as that.
As things stand at the moment, you mentioned that the Calmac ferries, of course, the Ardrossan Harbour just can't accommodate these new ferries. It needs this upgrade to make that a reality. I know you recently met the Transport Secretary, Fiona Hislop, about this very issue. What is the state of play as to what's happening with the harbour? How do you see it?
Well, when we met the Secretary of the Minister, she told us that she was totally committed to Ardrossan Harbour and pursuing the buyout successfully, and I believe it when she says that. We've also met with CMAL, who are the government agency who are tasked with negotiating with Peel Ports over the purchase of the harbour. They painted a rather gloomy picture. They said that the negotiations were not going well. They were accusing Peel Ports of holding out for an unreasonable amount that they wanted for a harbour which is quite obviously in a fairly deplorable state. We've been in touch with Peel Ports, and their version of it is they say that CMAL are not making enough an effort to actually bargain with them. So we've got a bit of a deadlock going on at the moment. Yeah, absolutely, Wiley. And if this deadlock can't be broken, give us a sense of what kind of impact this could have for the businesses and individuals who are affected by this in Ardrossan. Well, in terms of Ardrossan, it would, you know, it's an area that's already, quite deprived. To lose the harbour would just be, catastrophic for the town. It's been the port for Arn for 170 years. For obvious reasons, because it's the closest to Arn and it should remain so. We all want Ardrossan. Everybody wants, there's no opposition to it, hardly any at all. So there we have it. It's just getting past Peel Ports. The group that I represent, we've been lobbying them quite hard to do the decent thing and get a deal done. It was Wiley Hume speaking to me earlier. So what do you make of this latest ferry development? Do let us know. We love hearing from you in the programme. Our email address is on screen now. It's news7@bbc.co.uk. Some of the day's other stories for you now, and 2 men have been arrested following the death of a teenager during a disturbance in West Lothian. Emergency services attended a property in Broxburn early on Friday morning. 18-year-old Adam Nevin, who was one of 3 people taken to the Royal Infirmary of Edinburgh for treatment, died yesterday. The 2 other men, aged 25 and 28, have been charged and are expected to appear at Edinburgh Sheriff Court. 2 men have been charged by police in Aberdeen following a series of 5 arson attacks. 4 of the attacks were on properties, while the 5th saw a car being set alight. A 35-year-old man appeared before Aberdeen Sheriff Court earlier, while a 51-year-old is due at the same court tomorrow. Scotland's first college for students with complex needs has secured funding for another 2 years. The pilot scheme at Corsford College in Renfrewshire will receive up to £1.4 million from the Scottish Government. The college offers learning opportunities to young people aged between 18 and 25 whose needs can't be met in mainstream education. Well, for more information on all of these stories, you can scan the QR code on your screen now and it'll take you straight to that BBC Scotland News app. Now, police raided 3 properties in Glasgow today over suspected human trafficking. Detectives targeted flats believed to house cannabis farms run by victims of modern slavery from Southeast Asia. 3 men were detained by police in the operation. Our social affairs correspondent Chris Clements has this report.
A raid in a flat in the north of Glasgow this morning, looking for what police say is a cannabis cultivation. A number of plants are said to be found upstairs, but the focus isn't just drugs. The force believes someone working the crop in the property has been trafficked from overseas.
Now, we're told by police that they have found a Vietnamese man in the upstairs flat there. They've also found a cannabis cultivation. So at the moment, police officers are speaking to him to try and ascertain whether or not he is the victim of modern slavery.
The flat was one of 3 raided across the city, as police targeted a major organised crime group operating across Scotland. Detectives believe the gang rent properties like this one to grow cannabis and recruit vulnerable people of various nationalities, bringing them here to be exploited as part of the operation.
It's a highly professional and well organised group. The cultivations tend to be multiple growing areas within a house, and you're looking at a large number of plants at various stages. In this address here, one male has been arrested. Often these people are victims of human trafficking, and we have to make sure the support services and support networks are there for them, and ultimately they can be assessed as being a victim than an accused.
They'll examine whether the Vietnamese man upstairs should be referred to the Home Office for Modern Slavery. The man was one of 3 arrested in today's raids. While his alleged role in a drugs farm may be over, his journey through the justice system is just beginning. Chris Clements, reporting Scotland, Glasgow.
Still to come, we have the weather with Judith, and we'll speak to the fans who've camped outside the Hydro ahead of one American superstar's arrival. But first, it is sport time with Lewis, and it is getting to that exciting point of Wimbledon, isn't it, Lewis?
We're into week 2 and we've still got an interest. How great is that, Amy? We've still
claiming somebody is Scottish.
Somebody to follow, which is just great. Keeps me busy anyway.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Amy. Hello there. Yes, let's start with Wimbledon. Where else? Because on centre court tomorrow, Cameron Norrie will play in a quarter-final against defending men's singles champion Carlos Alcaraz. World number 61 Norrie, who was born in South Africa but whose dad is Scottish, beat Nicholas Jarry of Chile last night in a 5-set epic, and says he'll have to be at his very best to see off Alcaraz, who he calls untouchable. I caught up with the Times tennis correspondent Stuart Fraser earlier to see what he thinks of Norrie's progress at SW19.
Yeah, I think it was a tremendous performance. You know, Cam is known as someone for his renowned for his intensity, his effort, a real workhorse in the court, does all the simples right. Nothing necessarily spectacular with this tennis, but he does so much right, and he's so consistent. Now, there'd been a period before where he'd maybe struggled for a little while, combination of injury and poor form, but this summer it really has all come together again. He's going out there, he's getting aces bombed towards him, he's facing a total of 103 winners during his time in the court, and it's just tough to keep your concentration against that and just waiting for the right moment to strike, but his patience really was rewarded in the end.
Yeah, and he's been rewarded with a clash against Carlos Alcaraz. I mean, it doesn't get much more difficult than that, does it? How do you rate his chances?
The good thing is for him that he's beaten Alcaraz twice before. Now, it was some time ago, beat him on hard courts at the 2022 Cincinnati Open, beat him on clay at the 2023 Rio Open, you know, has lost a few more as well. But the fact is, a lot of the players that go out there against the likes of Carlos Alcaraz or Jannik Sinner these days have never beaten them before. Cam can go out there on centre court knowing that he has conquered Alcaraz in the past.
Yeah, and it's not just the quality of Alcaraz on the court, is it? I mean, you're in the heart of Wimbledon right now, Stuart. You found a quiet corner to speak to us. When you draw Alcaraz, it's everything that comes with it, isn't it? It's going to be a bit of a blockbuster clash.
Exactly, and Cam's got to get used to going in centre court for the first time this fortnight. He's played there before, so he knows what the court's like, but it will still take a bit of an adjustment. He likes number one court, just the position of the player box is slightly different. A few other dimensions of that court he likes. He likes the atmosphere out there. It's maybe just a little louder than the more exclusive centre court. But, you know, of course, a match like Norrie against Alcaraz has to be in centre, a quarter-final at Wimbledon. And, yeah, he'll be ready for that. He actually spoke about going out for a little look today to have a look at the court and just get ready for those surroundings to go out there tomorrow.
Motorsport now, because it was an extremely successful weekend for Perth's Rory Skinner here, as he secured 3rd place, 2nd place and 1st place at the British Superbike Championships meeting at Knockhill. It boosted the 23-year-old to 3rd in the standings behind English pair Bradley Ray and Kyle Wright. Our reporter Kenny Crawford caught up with Rory earlier on.
I was so happy with the results to get 2 podiums and then finish off the weekend with a win. It was just fantastic.
When you got the 3rd and the 2nd, did you feel there was a 1st place still in the locker? Did you feel it was coming?
Yeah, I mean, we've been building all weekend. You know, we've been pretty consistent, pretty fast all weekend, and the conditions were ever changing. You know, it was difficult to kind of work out exactly what the track was going to do. But yeah, that last race, the heavens opened, and I thought there might be an opportunity. My guys have been working really hard all weekend. The team I ride for, Cheshire Mouldings Ducati, they'd worked really hard on our wet setup. And yeah, when it started raining, I thought, there might be a chance here. And yeah, managed to get out front at the beginning of the race, and from that point, kind of just controlled it, and yeah, managed to bring home a win in front of the home crowd. It was actually 12 months to the day of winning at Knockhill yesterday since I broke my leg in 2 places. So for me, it was an emotional win. It was a lot of there was a lot of stuff built up there, and to cross the line, it was almost like the weight off my shoulders had been lifted. We've worked so hard. The team's never stopped believing in me through the injury, and even when I felt a little bit down and didn't feel like I quite had it in myself, they never stopped believing. They knew I could do it, and yeah, to bounce back this year at Knockhill with 3 podiums and one of them being a win was honestly just a fantastic weekend. I won't stop training, make sure I'm as fit and as strong as I can be going into Brands Hatch and for the remainder of the season.
Well, it sounds like you're really motivated for the rest of that season. It's been really good to talk to you, Rory, and we've definitely got you on our radar now, so keep up the good work and we'll see how Brands Hatch goes.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Yeah, Rory Skinny there speaking to our reporter Kenny Crawford. Good luck to him.
Oh, incredible, isn't it? Now, Lewis, you've got to stick around for this.
Yes.
We've got a holiday to look forward to. I know you will like this, because you may be used to packing those little miniature toiletries or having to bin a bottle of water going through airport security. Well, from today, that's changed at Edinburgh Airport, which has become the first airport in Scotland to lift the 100mm rule for liquids being carried in your hand luggage. It will now be possible to take containers of up to 2 litres through security, and they will not need to be removed from bags. Cameron Buttle has more.
Around 16 million people go through here each year. Edinburgh is Scotland's busiest airport. And now it's the first north of the border to change the rules about the liquids you can take through security. The rule used to be a maximum of 1 litre of liquid, all in containers up to a maximum of 100 millilitres. Now you can take up to 2 litre bottles through, as many as your hand luggage allowance permits. And it can stay in your hand luggage as it goes through the scanners.
It means anything a bit bigger than 100ml is going to be okay, and it just gives people more flexibility and less hassle and less checks we need to do, so less bags will be rejected, and therefore the whole process is going to be a lot smoother.
The new system has been welcomed by passengers today, especially a returning hen party.
We are absolutely dying.
And what you just discovered you can take?
We just discovered we can take our big bottles of water through. I'm so excited.
Because you were trying to chug it to get...
We were trying to chug it to get before we got to security, but this is brilliant.
I mean, it's so much easier. It makes life a lot easier getting through security, not having to take everything out your bags.
But you didn't know, you had no idea?
No idea.
Just left it to her?
Yeah.
Did you know that that's just a change that you're able to do today?
Oh, no, didn't know, but I hope so. We do it in Rome, so we are able to bring waters and bottles like this. So hope
today is the first day that you can do that here.
Oh, that's wonderful and amazing.
The rules on liquids date back nearly 20 years. Security experts say passengers should have total confidence in the new systems.
What my team are now being presented with is a 3D X-ray image. So if you think about an MRI scanner in a hospital, which creates a 3D image of whatever the body's looking at, that's exactly what my staff are getting with the X-ray image. So they now have a 3D X-ray image of the cabin bag.
So this is the first day the new system has been in operation. It means you can take a bottle this size right through security with no problems at all. But there is a warning from staff here at Edinburgh Airport. Be careful. When you're coming back through your return airport, they might not have this system in place, and you won't be allowed to do this. Staff also point out that any metal bottles, no matter the size, will always have to be empty before going through security. Cameron Buttle, reporting Scotland, Edinburgh.
Now, she is one of the biggest music stars on the planet, and tonight Billie Eilish kicks off the UK leg of her world tour in Glasgow with fans camping out for hours ahead of the show. The Oscar and Grammy award-winning musician plays 2 nights at the Hydro as part of her Hit Me Hard and Soft tour, and for some fans they couldn't miss the chance to get as close as possible, as Morven McKinnon found out.
Billie Eilish is coming to town today, and these fans have been camping and queuing for hours, and I think they're a bit excited.
Never dance at the party, I bet it's still mediocre.
So is that something that you would do again? Would you queue up this early and to make sure you can get a good spot?
Yeah,
definitely.
I would do again, but then I would like take warmer clothes.
Yeah,
because I wasn't prepared for this.
Yeah, we just came and then no breakfast, no all. We just came and sit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've been here since about, what was it?
5:30 this morning.
5:30 this morning.
So it's now about 12:30.
Yeah.
So we've been here about 7 hours.
I have not slept, but I think that's from excitement and adrenaline.
And how long have you been camping out for?
Since 3 a.m. from yesterday.
And would you do this again for Billy? Do you think you'd camp out again?
Yeah, of course.
If we have everything, yeah. Because I can't if I don't have a tent.
If it's organized, there's
Yes.
no problem. We are so organized, so
Yeah.
that's cool.
No way to call the cops. If you don't stop, I'll call your dad.
It's definitely worth it for the
We've
wait.
been fans since she dropped Ocean Eyes, 2018, so...
And our Judith was singing along the studio, of course. We've got a singer here in our
So
Judith.
Simple Minds a couple of weeks ago. That's my level.
Belting out the tunes. Now, for camping, one thing you want is nice weather. How's it been looking?
Do you know, it's not looking too bad this week at all, and it's getting warmer day by day as well. So summer is returning. I'm glad to see. A very good evening to you. A beautiful picture there in the east Neuk of Fife. We saw 20 Celsius here, and it's all about high pressure this week. Weather fronts that try to move in will have the energy taken out of them as high pressure winds over at the end of the day. It just parks itself across Scotland, taking centre stage come the end of the week, deflecting any Atlantic fronts, and warmth coming our way as well. Any showers dying away this evening, dry overnight with clear spells, and it will be quite chilly for some parts, maybe some of the glens falling to as low as 3 or 4 Celsius as we head through the overnight period, and for most of us 6 to 8 degrees. So a cool, fresh start to the day tomorrow, but a lovely start. Lots of dry weather and lots of sunshine. Here's one of those fronts starting to make inroads in the west, bringing a bit more in the way of cloud, maybe the odd spot of rain. And it will cloud over a bit over the Northern Isles, but that's not to say we won't see some brighter sunny spells. The wind's back into the west by then as well. Pretty good spells of sunshine for the eastern half of Scotland, and we'll see temperatures climbing into the low 20s here. It's a really lovely summer's day, and still hanging on to some brightness for southwest Scotland, but we pick up on that frontal cloud for Kintyre, for the Argyll Isles, up across the west coast, Skye and the Western Isles, with some bits and pieces of rain or drizzle as well, and it will be a bit cooler here too. Into tomorrow evening, we'll still some late sunshine across the eastern half of Scotland, but cloud starts to creep in across the country as we head through the overnight period. Maybe the odd spot of rain. Rain mainly focused across western parts, and by morning we'll see some clear spells or sunshine by morning coming in across eastern Scotland, but east-west split really. Western Scotland hanging on to a fair bit of clouds and bits and pieces of rain, quite misty and murky, and similarly across the Northern Isles. The best of the sunshine will be found across eastern parts of the country, and temperatures up to 23 to 24, maybe 25 Celsius in the east, always a bit lower over the Isles. Now, for the rest of the week, a lot of dry weather in the forecast, and some temperatures are set to rise. Sunny spells coming through. I think come Friday there's a possibility of a 29 Celsius.
Oh my goodness, Judith, looking lovely, just as I head to Mallorca too. Thanks for that. Now, a 15-year-old has become the youngest person to swim solo from Northern Ireland to Scotland. Oscar Black from Lurgan swam from the Antrim coast to Port Patrick in 16 hours and 38 minutes. He said it was hard to explain the emotions he was feeling after his record-breaking 46-kilometre swim, which was longer than expected.
I started off at the Gobbins in Larne, then you swim to Port Patrick in Scotland, but the current for my swim was against me the whole time. A 34k swim turned into a 47k swim just due to the up and down of the currents the whole time.
That is all from us on the programme. Well done, Oscar. We will see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.